You know that feeling, right? That sense of being constantly busy, just running all day long. But then you get to the end of it and you have this nagging feeling that you didn't really accomplish anything at all. So where does that come from?
I mean, seriously, just take a second and think about it. When's the last time you used the word meaningful to describe your day? It's much more likely you just said, I was busy. Your whole day was just a blur of meetings, messages, pings, notifications. And when it all stops, there's just this weird sense of emptiness.
And that's the thing. It's a very specific kind of tired, isn't it? The kind that comes without any real satisfaction. But here's what's so important to get. This feeling isn't some kind of personal failure. It's not about you being lazy. It's actually a symptom of a much, much bigger problem with how our modern world is set up. Okay, so let's get right into the first uncomfortable truth here. We have to completely break the link in our minds between being busy and making progress. Because honestly, they are not the same thing at all. See, our brains are kind of wired for action. So when we're constantly doing something, anything at all, our brain gets this little hit of satisfaction. It thinks, hey, look at us, we're being productive. Even if that thing we just did was completely pointless, it's a really powerful illusion. And this is the key difference. So much of our day is just spent on what you could call maintenance work. Replying to messages, checking emails. Basically, you're just bailing water out of the boat to keep it from sinking. But progress, well, that's different. That's the creating, the growing, the building. That's the stuff that actually moves the boat forward. And that right there, that's the trap. When your entire day is spent just keeping things from falling apart, of course you're going to end up feeling completely drained. But you can't point to a single thing you did that truly moved the needle. So this leads us straight into the second problem. What all this constant activity is actually doing to our minds. Let's talk about our attention. Our brains were just never designed for this. They were not built to switch tasks over and over and over again all day long. Every single ping, every buzz, every notification, think of it like a tiny little paper cut to your focus. And every single one of those switches has a cost. It takes real, actual mental energy to pull yourself out of one thing and then dive into another. They might feel like tiny little costs, but they add up, just draining your mental battery drip by drip all day long. And this is what happens. Your focus isn't just interrupted, it's shattered into all these tiny, ineffective little pieces. When your attention is constantly fragmented like this, doing any kind of deep, meaningful work becomes pretty much impossible. And this state actually has a name: fragmented attention. It's when your focus is so continuously broken that it slows you down and makes even simple work feel way heavier than it should. The point is, it's not that you've suddenly gotten worse at concentrating, it's that you're almost never given a real chance to. Now, there's a really weird side effect to living in this constant state of busyness and fragmented attention. And it's all about how we feel when we finally, stop. Just think about that for a second. For so many of us, doing absolutely nothing feels wrong. Rest feels uncomfortable. Silence feels awkward. It's like we've forgotten how to just be still. And it creates this little voice in our head, doesn't it? This constant internal monologue. Even on a quiet weekend, there's that whisper, shouldn't I be doing something productive right now? It's this relentless, nagging feeling of guilt. But that guilt, it is not natural. We weren't born with it. We learned it. It was basically conditioned into us by a culture that's always screaming that our value as a person is directly tied to our output, so we're terrified to slow down, even when that's the one thing our minds and bodies desperately need. Okay, and this brings us to the final layer of the problem, and maybe the most subtle one. It's the pressure to not just be productive, but to be seen as productive. We've kind of entered this era where we don't just work, we actually perform busyness for an audience. It's become this weird social signal of importance, of relevance, of how much you matter. And this little performance happens in a few ways. First, we talk about it all the time. Oh, I'm so swamped, my schedule is just insane. Then we show it, right? Sending those late-night emails to signal how dedicated we are. And finally, we prove it with calendars that are so packed they look like a game of Tetris. And this is so dangerous because our brains start chasing the reward for the appearance of work, not for the actual accomplishment of meaningful work. All our energy gets sidetracked into the performance, and that leaves almost nothing left for actual progress.
So, if any of this is feeling a little too familiar, what's the takeaway here? Well, the first step isn't some complex life hack or a new app. It's just a simple shift in how you see things. This is the most important thing to hear today. If you feel busy, but you also feel unfulfilled, you are not broken. You are having a perfectly normal response to a completely abnormal, overloaded world. We've all been taught that the frantic, chaotic energy of being busy, that's what productivity is supposed to feel like. It's loud, it's messy, it's visible to everyone. But this is the final thought I really want to leave you with. Real progress, the kind that comes from deep focus, from doing work that actually matters, it almost never feels frantic. Real progress feels calm. And just understanding that difference, well, that's the first step. If any of this resonated with you today, we hope you'll stick around and explore these kinds of ideas with us. Welcome to Explainify 100.